Starting now.
We let it play a little long. Hey guys, welcome back to Vanishing Gates. As always, I am your host, and with me, Jay, and with me, as always, is our indubitable, silly, goofy, odd, defunct, rambunctious, obtuse
The
co-host.
marvelous.
Anyway, you are.
The magnanimous. The very humble. The very humble Jack. The
Yeah.
very humble Captain Jack.
Anyway, guys, so cigar of the show. What are we smoking here today?
We are smoking a Louis Martinez.
Yeah, Maduro.
Yeah.
Decent little smoke for the price. Really low end, but not bad. Not too dry, not too heavy. Pretty thick rolled though. Nice
Yeah,
pack.
it's nice like that.
I don't think it's gonna burn for very long though. I don't think this is gonna be. I think it's gonna go out. This is gonna be a relight cigar. I
This is
think
definitely going to be a relight cigar. I'm having a tough time getting smoke out of it.
it's gonna. We're gonna have to baby these, like nurse and keep smoking on them. So before we start, I have no idea where Paco is. Do you?
I believe he said he was getting a manicure and then a
Mani-pedi?
a colostomy
colonic?
bag? A colonic.
Yeah, that's where they put all that stuff in your butt and make everything come out.
It's gonna smell fresh as the roses. I believe he likes the rose scented colonics.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. That said, guys, give me a moment here because I have to. Why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on in Florida real quick?
Well, let's tell them what's going on right now because we're on YouTube right now. That's
Yeah, we're doing YouTube. We're usually doing Facebook Live. We're YouTube Live right now, guys.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do right now is share it to the Facebook page because Facebook's having issues. Thanks, Zuckerberg. We heart you. We don't heart you.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem right now is Facebook made some changes and it looks like it's having issues, and so here we are on YouTube.
Again, this is like the third week in a row we've had issues with our Facebook page. So we might just start, if enough people want to come over here, we're going to start doing it here, I think. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yep, as long as we are, not as long as
I'm having to manually share to Facebook,
yes,
guys. That's what's happening right now.
This is amazing.
This. In all honesty, though, this is not so bad considering like how much other crap we go through on a day on an every show basis.
It's just nice that it's not our fault this time.
Yeah, it's nice not to take the blame.
It's not something we did. Finally. So no, yeah, you're gonna find us today on YouTube. If you're a fan of the page and you find yourself on here, please share to your Facebook. Let everybody know. Share to the page.
Share to your
everywhere.
YouTube. Follow, subscribe. Make sure you turn the notifications on. See, with Facebook, for some reason, people don't get notified that we go on. It's weird.
Yeah.
Unless I pay them.
It's ironic.
That happen.
We have like 200 something followers, but unless you pay them, only 70 of our people ever find out we're even live.
Yeah, it's really strange.
It's so weird.
So that said, let's talk about what's going on in Florida a little bit, the hurricanes and stuff. What all have you heard so far? Was it Irma? Is that the?
Yes, it's Hurricane Irma.
Is it still a Class 5?
It's a Class 5 right now. I think over. I'm not sure exactly. Puerto Rico, I think, is it where it's at the moment.
I thought it was over. Has it not made landfall Florida yet?
I don't think it's hit Florida.
Because Florida has a bunch of evacuations, right?
By the time I looked, the last time I looked, it hasn't hit Florida yet. They've actually evacuated beforehand because Irma was going to make landfall and it was going to be bad. Like, like 10 foot waters though.
Yeah, 10-foot rush from the ocean. That's like a big bull wave that just comes and just destroys things. And hey, Billy and chat.
Hey, share and follow. Share and follow, please.
Thanks. So let's send our prayers and good intentions out to Florida. Let's keep them in our thoughts.
Before we get back to that, let's let everybody know that on Facebook there's a small delay, but on YouTube there's a much larger delay.
Yeah, so we might not see you talking to us right away in chat here. I'm not sure exactly what. It's like 30 seconds on Facebook.
Yeah, I think it's like almost a minute on.
I don't think it's a full minute, is it?
I
mean, there's one way we can watch.
I mean, let's go look real quick.
We can look real quick and see.
Let's look. I just did this.
I didn't want to do that.
Oh, hey, it's a 30-second delay roughly.
Yeah, it's let's see.
Yeah, my arms are still up.
Okay, no, it's less than Facebook's.
It's a little bit of less delay. That's great.
Okay, we're good. I'm liking this better already. So
please remember to share to the Facebook. I mean, we're gonna keep saying this because
we get to keep momentum going. This is a really awkward situation that Facebook has put us in today.
Awkward.
But I guess we're not the only ones. We looked at the spikes of how many people were having trouble with their live stream today. It was pretty massive. It looked like.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I went online.
So it's not just us. So that said, speaking of Florida, our buddy Bridget has a birthday today. One of the Murphy sisters.
That was a weird segue. I mean,
well, she's in Florida. Well, I think she's actually evacuated, but
you could have kept talking about it for a minute.
Well, I'm going to get back to that because where she lives is kind of in the storm path.
Oh, well, so get the hell out of there, Bridget.
So she did. But keep praying for her, thinking about her, guys. We're going to make sure she's okay and check out. We just heard from her a little bit ago, so it sounds like she's doing all right. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Bridget.
Happy birthday to Bridget.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
You know, life sounds like it's going pretty well for you. I'm glad. Let's go.
Minus the whole hurricane.
You never know. It might be a hurricane of greatness.
Hopefully,
it might bring like.
Well, hopefully
it doesn't bring the sharks that it's been carrying.
Sharknado,
dude. It was
it's
carrying
a thing.
Sharks.
It happened.
It's carrying sharks on land.
Sharknado was prophetic. Who would have thought Sharknado? Roger Corman had it right.
I heard a car. I wonder if that's the long lost Paco. Back from his colonic.
I don't even know.
Back from his high colonic.
His high colonic. So, guys, now we got that stuff out of the way. I want you guys to go check out our sponsor, ProPrismDesign.com, for all of your graphical needs, stitching, embroidering, sticker making. I am printing coffee cups. I don't know, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So, ProPrismDesign.com.
I forgot we had a new semi-sponsor. Yes, it is.
Sponsor. Anyway, then don't forget, we're almost to Halloween, my favorite time, the most wonderful time of the year.
You didn't say it the way you normally do, so I think it's just a YouTube thing now. We're all out of whack.
I think so. We're kind of like all off the charts here, but we're gonna get there. Don't worry. So yeah, Cotton Studios. Jason Glendy makes some really cool stuff. These are art pieces, not just decorations.
Oh no, they're great.
So go check out his stuff, Cotton Studios on Facebook. Go like his page, and make sure when you go to our sponsors that you let them know you guys heard about them from us, because that helps us out. They know we're helping them out. It's a good I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and it's awesome. It works out. Huh?
Were you able to share?
Yeah, I think I shared.
Oh, good. Just to the page. That way people can find us as fast as possible.
Well, just because I share it doesn't mean people are going to see it. Facebook.
Put it in the discussion group.
Let's see. Did I share it? That's the question. I think you know what I did? I shared it to my regular page.
Oh my gosh, that's not good.
Yeah, so give me a second. Why don't you talk a little bit while I do this?
All right. So what do you want to talk about here? Yeah, just talking about thing.
What are you doing?
I think it's interesting that there's going to be a Friday the 13th this October.
Yes, we are going to do a special Friday the 13th show, actually. So you're going to get 2 shows that week.
Are we?
Yep.
Wow, we're spoiling them. This is terrible.
We
cannot set
so
this
nice.
Precedent. We can't set this precedent. So
precedent.
So,
I hate technology today.
I guess do we have anything else to go over real quick? Or
yeah, no, we had a bunch of stuff to go over.
Oh, well, let's keep going over.
Well, here,
I'll figure it out.
Log into my there and share it through you got to use 2 different apps to share to one. It's freaking stupid. All this technology, we're dumber than dirt. So the Bigfoot Days footage, as you guys know, I went to the 50th anniversary of Bigfoot Days last week and shot some B-reel and some stuff to put together as a special. And I was supposed to try to get to it this week, and I just did not get around to it. So I'm going to try to get that done by the end of next week. Work just went all sorts of crazy, and I had no time to do anything aside from
good work for crazy. Cattywampus. Work went all cattywampus. New word for you guys today.
Cattywampus is too polite to how this week turned out. And it's not just work, it was what it was like. Hi, birthday, Bridget. Anyway.
Howdy.
So the Bigfoot Days film, the special, will be put together at some point. I will get to it. Now, we have another special event coming up. It's going to be a pretty big show. It's going to on October 7th. We're going to be at the first annual Halloween pop-up boutique from 6 to 9 p.m. live streaming. We're going to try to get people's stories. It's going to be at Humboldt Herbals, 219 D Street here in Eureka, California. And again, the show, you guys can watch the show here. We're going to be live from 6 to 9 o'clock. We're going to try to put some cool stuff together. Maybe wear some costumes. I don't know. It should be awesome.
It will be awesome. You know why? Because we're going to be there. So show up if you're in town and if you watch this locally.
So in chat, all I can say is Klaatu Verata Necktie.
Klaatu Verata. What I said it!
Anyway, okay, that's about all the announcements.
And as for Bridget, Paco is practicing clean healthcare by getting a high colonic. He likes to smell rosy, or a
coffee colonic.
Nice and fresh.
So you can be infused.
Yes, he's getting an infused coffee colonic.
Have you done that yet?
I am trying.
Give me this. You take over.
You intelligent people with non-busted phones, please share to the page.
Now we are on to our topic of the show. See, with me not being able to actually get anything done this week, I put the show in the capable hands of Jack.
Which was a mistake.
So he decided he wanted to talk about what?
I want to talk about the Devil's Bible.
Which is
not the Necronomicon, but did you put Necronomicon at the title?
No.
Why does Billy think we're doing the Necronomicon then?
Why not?
I guess we can then, whatever, if we get to it. All right, so the Devil's Bible. It was written, or it was penned some 800 years ago in a nice monastery.
Yeah, was it nice?
It was a monastery. It was
in nice France.
It's a Benedictine.
Benedictine, yes.
It was in the Czech Republic, which I don't think it was the Czech Republic then. I think it was what was it called? I have no idea. Anyways, it was in what is known as the Czech Republic now.
Really? Looks like Czechoslovakia?
Is it Czechoslovakia? I thought Czechoslovakia was a different place.
I mean, go ahead.
I'm sorry. We just had this discussion, and I swear to God, I was going to write the town down from where this monastery was. I wrote down the country it's from, but I did not write the town. Anywho, that's great. Oh, Bohemia. Sorry, it's from Bohemia.
Bohemia.
Yes, and it was written by a Benedictine monk. Are those real?
No, not at all. Figment of your imagination.
Are those made up? Anyway, so it was written by what's called a black monk or Benedictine monk. These are the ones that you hear about. That there's different sects of monk from what I've been learning when I read this. There's ones that self-flagellate. They're much more hardcore. They don't partake in any of the earthly anything basically other than food. They have flea-ridden clothing. They don't change their clothing. They practice cleanliness, but at the same time they don't practice vanity. So if it has fleas in the clothing and stuff like that, they really don't care.
Which sounds incredibly uncomfortable.
It must be. But anyways, this particular order, they're very faithful. They're very faithful to their religion, and they don't like when people stray. Well, this particular monk. Wait, hold on.
Wait, no, don't. Just tell the story. We'll worry about chat in a minute.
Fine, I will try my best. Anyway, so these monks, in their particular love of the rules, one monk decided to break a secret rule. Essentially, I have no idea how you stop someone from breaking a secret rule, but apparently he broke it, and he was being punished by a court, or basically like a papal court. And they have different forms of punishment. There's excommunication, there's self-flagellation, there's and then finally there's death. Well, this guy apparently, according to the story, he was walled in. That's what they believe, is that he was actually walled into the cell. He was going to be walled in the next day in his cell. So obviously death comes from after that.
Yeah.
So that was going to be his punishment. Except he talks to the monk, the head friar, and he says, "Well, I will write for you an amazing." Or a very amazing book. I don't know exactly how I phrased it, mind you, so you're gonna have to mind my paraphrasing here.
Are you sure they didn't just record and dictate that entire exact conversation the way it was?
I don't think they did.
Okay.
Actually, they have no idea. They don't even know if the story's true. The abbey or the monastery that doesn't exist anymore. And I will explain why. So, anyways. Yeah, it is messed up. They were gonna wall him in for a secret thing he broke that he didn't know what it was. They don't even tell anybody what it is. According to the story, they don't tell people what this guy did because they don't talk about whatever this guy did. So I really don't know if he deserved the punishment or if they just got really annoyed with him or you know what? I hate this guy.
I think that some of those punishments were probably a bit exaggerated for what. No, I mean
Well, I agree.
Worse than what the crime was more often than not. Is the
I will get back to it, but there's a reason I agree that it's probably not that's probably not what actually happened. But the story of the monk is actually true. He did write it, but essentially, there's a belief from what they've read that the name of someone named I think it was Herman. Basically, he's like a hermit.
A hermit named Herman.
And
that sounds like a really bad.
He's a recluse. He doesn't like to talk to other people. He's very devout to his faith. And according to what they believe is what they meant when he was getting walled in. There's a word I can't remember exactly what it is. It's Latin, but it means like people interpret it to mean getting walled into the chamber. He was going to be killed. But what people interpret now, they realize was just that they believe he was just a recluse. That the interpretation was wrong. It was actually supposed to be interpreted that he just didn't like to be around people. And so essentially, it was written by him, and he was just called like Herman. God, I wish I could remember what the.
Why didn't you write it down?
You know, I was thinking about that in my rush after my tablet died, so I didn't have any more information.
I like that's where Bridget in chat goes. I'm not going to repeat it, but if you guys are paying attention to chat, that's probably true.
That might actually be the case.
Apparently, it's a no-no when you're a monko.
Bastards. Anyway, so the story starts with him talking to the friar and saying, the story actually starts with him doing that. But anyways, the good part of the story starts with him talking to the friar and promising him a special book that will, hello Tara, a special book that will make this monastery great. It'll bring people in. It'll make it well known. It'll bring wealth, because the book was going to be written in a single night, and it's huge. This book is purported to have been written in a single night, according to the story, by a single monk, and it's 165 pounds and 3 feet tall.
Yeah, it's a massive work.
It is a mammoth book, and now the story goes is that come midnight he was hurting. He couldn't continue. And so the reason it's called the Devil's Bible isn't because of a picture that's actually drawn in it by the devil. It's called the Devil's Bible because this is the only Bible known and written by monks and people of the faith to have been recorded as a Bible set forth by the devil. Because he talked to the devil during his that night at midnight. He finally decided to try for something else. Instead of going to God, he went to the devil. And he asked the devil for empowerment or the ability to finish this book before morning so he wouldn't die. He sold his soul to make sure this book was done before the morning. And so that's why it's called the Devil's Bible, because it didn't come from the power of God to be written. It came from the power of the devil to be written.
See, and isn't there more of the other side of that pen? Isn't the story more what people are thinking is that the guy was just really dedicated to this one thing? Because monks back then, a lot of them would pick a life's passion, and they would hide themselves away, and they would do something like that. They'd handwrite their own Bible. They'd write some kind of health books or stuff like that, medical books, things like that. And then this guy hypothetically could have spent 60 years of his life just working on this work, which is more likely than an overnight deal with the devil thing.
Between 25 to 30 years is what they actually estimate. Is that doing this would have taken at least 5 years of time if you were dedicated. But then you put in the fact that he's also a monk, which means he has many other things he has to do. And he's a very hardcore sect of monk, which means they have very strict guidelines of what they do.
If he took a vow, though, to get it done, they would have to honor that and leave him alone in his room to be about his business.
I think that's what eventually wound up happening. But then you also have to factor in there's different factors, like injury to the hand from writing a horribly big-ass book, having to lift that
could you
thing.
measure the carpal tunnel? Because that is, like, huge.
And it is. It's
like this thick. Like
It's an awesome book. Yeah, it's like I think almost a foot thick.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 feet or tall. It weighs 165 pounds, and book is. I've actually seen pictures.
As a Backstreet Boy or a hipster.
The pictures are awesome, honestly. Like if you see that book, it is awesome. Now, okay, so anyways, the night goes through. The guy finishes it. I have no idea what happens to him. Every story
I don't think anyone really.
Nobody says what happens to him.
I mean,
like everything I read, I couldn't find anything of what took place.
Maybe he got absorbed into La Bible de Devil,
which
isn't even any language that anyone speaks.
What the hell was that? That was a thing.
It's been a long week, buddy.
So, anywho, so basically, he finishes the book, and what's inside of the book is actually pretty interesting because it's and a lot of people have read it, like experts.
Well, how do they read it? Isn't it locked in a big glass cage?
No. It was taken out for a team of experts to read. Oh yeah, it cannot be seen by the sun. It has a special shroud designed for it. It's kept in a specially airlocked room. It's very protected. It's an ancient, very important.
It's a glass case like this thick or something.
Well, they keep a shroud over it too.
Yeah, that too. But so there was damage that happened to it, right? Yeah. Like there was fire damage or water damage or something at one point?
I'll get to it.
Oh, we haven't got to that part of the story?
No, that's a little bit out of there.
Okay.
That's a little bit in the
middle. Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I've just what I've seen.
The story of this book is actually relatively long. Think of the Dybbuk box kind of thing. It's got a string of things.
Well, it would be a long story if it weighs 160 pounds and it's freaking
800 years old.
Thick.
And it's 800 years old.
So continue about the book.
Okay, so now inside of this book actually contains very interesting things. It's actually in Sweden right now, I believe. It's kept in a museum in Sweden. You can actually visit it, I believe.
You can sit down and
it's
have
a tourist
tea with
attraction. It's a tourist attraction. People go to see it all the time.
It was like those big balls of yarn in the Midwest.
It's like the giant ball of deadly ass yarn that'll kill you.
It's eventually. Like those pants in Denmark that are actually like the Witcher's pants that are actually made from a guy's legs and genitals. Did you not know about that?
I didn't know that, but now I do.
It's a thing. It's supposed to bring gold or riches or something.
Please like and share on Facebook and YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube and set on the notifications. I think I'm feeling the YouTube thing right now more than the Facebooky thing.
It's gonna be a tough. I think it's gonna be a tough road to hoe to get back on here, but I think we can do it because honestly, we don't have really much controversial crap.
We're gonna put a bunch of stuff on Twitch too from now on. We're gonna keep Twitch up to date. Probably not live though, but we will do some live stream gaming on Twitch. I think that's a good idea. I plan on doing some horror games here pretty soon and whatnot. So,
all right, back to the story.
Yeah.
So inside of this Bible, there are spells, the Old Testament, the New Testament,
spells. And whoa! You can't just say spells and then not elaborate.
Medical cures.
Medical cures are not spells.
No. I'm saying there's medicinal cures.
What century
on top of spells?
That says spells, science. It's the devil's magic.
It might be the devil's magic. You don't know.
I mean, it could be. The devil's got to have something to do with his time, right? Okay. Hanging out writing books through a monk.
He's bored all the time.
What if the devil injured his hand and so he couldn't write it himself and so he enlisted the help of this Benedictine monk?
That might, but it's weird that a Benedictine.
Is that a stretch?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're like an inch away from being Satan worshippers.
Whoa, buddy,
they're a little extreme,
dude.
Okay.
Is that the kind of people you want after you? Like,
no, never mind. I've seen the Da Vinci Code. It's okay. Don't come after me. I don't have any codexes that you need off me. Okay?
Man, he's got a codex. Oh, he has got a codex. I've got one of those cameras somewhere.
So, please don't do this to me. Anyways, so inside the book are spells, and I don't know what kind of spells, mind you. I didn't get that deep into it. I was a little rushed when someone calls me 2 days before the show and says, "Come up with something."
Pretty much.
Got it.
Yeah, I gave you 2 days. It's more than I had.
I fucking did it, didn't I?
You did. Now let's go. Let's get through. Let's plow through this.
Anyways,
come on.
So the story continues. Time goes by. I think it's where is my name?
You're right there.
I'm trying to find it on my notes.
Do you not know how to take notes?
Fuck it. No one needs notes.
What did you just?
Okay, I won't throw.
So much for monetizing this episode.
Mess it. Hey, PG-13. We had one cuss word.
Oh no, that's actually true.
I know.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. That's your limit, buddy. You can only say the F-bomb once per episode.
Thanks.
PG-13. See, now you ruin your chance to do that line from Be Cool. When John Travolta and James Woods are rolling around. It's like, to have PG-13 rating, you can only say the F word once. He says, "You know what I say?" Then he says it.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's one of the best lines ever.
Anyway, so time passes, and I can't tell you how much time passes because I literally, like, the way I wrote my notes is the dumbest thing on earth. I don't even know what the hell I was thinking when I did it, to be honest. So we're gonna go ahead and wing it. So, yeah, not that professional when you consider my notes suck.
This is why you're not a doctor or a paralegal.
I can see that now. Your Honor, read the last line of the first thing, or the first thing I need to say last. Anyway, so time passes. The monastery where this is kept, or I don't know if it's a monastery, an abbey, or what, but wherever it's kept, it basically falls into ruin. It falls into poverty. So they're getting really poor. And so what's happening is there's issues all over the place. So they send the book, ironically, to a group of white monks, which I literally don't know the difference.
I'm not going to make a joke.
The
way things are right now in this country, I'm not making a joke.
There's different sects. There's black monks, white monks, Benedictine, and I don't know what the white monk sect is. I don't know why. No one explained that part. But anyway, so there's a separate group called the white monks, and they send it to them. And I think I might have a note here.
Apparently, I forgot to share that to the page.
What?
The show.
You forgot to share the show to the page?
Yeah, I forgot to share it to the page. I just did just now. So we're okay now, I think.
Okay, it's
confirmed.
Satlag. I have no idea where Satlac is.
Satlac?
Yep, it's in
Sounds
Satlac.
like a weird insurance company.
Yep, it pretty much is. So it goes to this place Satlac. It's where the white monks are, and they wind up.
This is in Sweden.
Yeah, no, not this time. No, not yet.
I was going to say, you know who would know where that is Lenore.
I was going to say no, it's not in Sweden. Okay. Not yet. That's a little down a little bit here in the story. So it goes to Satlac, where it basically these white monks, they admonish it and they place it in a place of honor in a cemetery.
In chat, Birthday Girl says, "I hear that white monks can't jump." Thank you, Bridget.
Their robes might get in the way.
Oh man, that's and the big ropes they tie around their waist. They can
white monks can't kneel.
You should make that a bumper sticker. White monks can't kneel.
Anyway, so they put it in a place of honor in a cemetery or in front of a cemetery. And the thing that's actually important about Satlac Cemetery is that it's actually consecrated soil from Golgotha. Golgotha, which is the place where I think they said that Jesus was crucified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sanctified. It's sanctified ground. And so they took dirt from it, from Golgotha,
still dirt,
and they put it in the cemetery. Which, yeah. Anyway, so that was near
you
the
can actually
book.
go to Golgotha if you're in.
I'm not in Golgotha though.
If you're in the area, you can go there.
I'm nowhere near Golgotha.
You can get the dirt and see if it's really sanctified.
It must be, because
I mean, by now the dirt that had his blood on it's already gone anyway. So,
well,
tourists have probably taken it to consecrate sacred cemeteries for.
That's not the point here, okay? The point is that there's an important. It's a place that has the dirt from Golgotha. That's an important landmark of that cemetery and that.
Man, it's hard to keep track when you got two guys interrupting you all the time in the middle of your story, isn't it?
Yes, and I have
you only have one. I'm just better at it than you guys. All right, continue. You're doing good. I'm proud of you.
Okay, so what happens is the white monks get it, and they don't have it for long. They don't have it for very long at all, according to what I read. They have it for, I think, maybe a year or two or something like that, and then slowly after they got it, they started going poor. They started breaking down like the black monks had, the Benedictine. And then...
Hold on.
What?
The monks started to become poor?
The monastery started falling apart,
like stuff like that. It was poverty and
poverty started striking the area. Yeah. So the
okay, I thought you were like, aren't the monks already poor but rich in spirit?
Pretty much.
Isn't that like the whole thing about being a monk?
Who knows? Anyway, so the order falls into ruin basically. It's dying, and so a very powerful cardinal, I think it is, he ordered the book sent back to the Benedictines. He wanted it gone, and so once the book was gone, the Black Plague struck Satlac, killing 30-something thousand people just after the book leaves.
Coincidence?
I think not.
I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it's
probably aliens.
It's probably aliens.
Yeah,
which would explain the language this thing's written in, right?
I mean, have you seen the language mine's written in?
Nobody can decode that.
It's freaking terrible.
That's worse than the Voynich manuscript.
Now, the thing about the way this was written was actually, it was deduced to be an amateur. The person actually isn't
was it
a master. Well, yeah, it was in Latin.
Okay, because I was going to say, I can tell you it's not a monk if it's not in Latin.
If you saw this manuscript, right, go look up this manuscript. Read it for just look at the words. It is so gorgeous. It is amazingly written. It's beautiful penmanship. And the guy who read this was like, this is the most amateur I've ever saw. He's like, this guy was a self-taught amateur.
E pluribus rectum.
Yes.
You know what that means?
No.
It's Latin.
I got that part. Celer silens mortalis. Swift, silent, and deadly.
Pedem et cassis.
Are we just going to go over how many Latin words we know? Semper fidelis?
Vina dulca mica me vel cum quo et cariat.
And now we're breaking down to the Latin chat.
People are like, I'm not watching these Greeks. Click.
These Latin ladies out there. Anyways.
It's all Greek to me. I only know it's Latin. It's different.
So anyways. I don't speak Greek. So after so the thing about this manuscript, like I said, it's written by an amateur. But the nice thing about it is if you put up, because they brought writing that was from a master monk or even just a regular, like someone who was trained in the monasteries.
Yeah.
Because they would write as a form of penance or penitence. Yeah. So it's like it's a form of penitence. So they would write down to release their sins. They would write the Bible.
Penance.
Sorry, penance.
Penitence.
Oh, my bad. Anyway, so as a form of penitence,
now I'm going to start saying penitence.
They would write the Bible. They would write down the Bible to ask for forgiveness, kind of thing. It was their way of absolving sins, of relieving their evils,
I mean,
things
if
like
you
that.
think about it, back then,
desires.
that's really the only way anyone was transcribing the Bible at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only way it was
It
transcribed.
wasn't a printing press yet, so
they put it next to the other one. He's like, and he puts it next to that one. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful. And then he puts the other one over. I'm like, holy crap, that looks ugly compared to that. Because the other one's like so perfect, like it's beautifally written.
It just
and then you look at the other one,
don't know what you're looking
and
at,
it looks
basically.
like the guys that did Monty Python wrote it all of a sudden.
You mean the guys from Monty Python?
Yeah.
Because they didn't do Monty Python, they are Monty Python. It's a comedy troupe.
The guys who wrote the script for Monty Python.
No, Monty Python is a group. You're talking about like the Holy Grail.
Yeah, like the movies. The writing on the movies. It's all like
they did the illustration for the Monty Python
like that, okay?
films.
Yes.
I want to say John Cleese actually did a lot of that. I could be wrong. I should know that.
Well, who knows? Because the editor died, or the cartoonist died, sadly.
And there was much rejoicing.
There was much rejoicing.
We could do a whole episode on Monty Python.
And
I wouldn't even feel dirty about it. We should do an episode in the vein of Monty Python, though. Talk about a very serious topic, as though we are Monty Python.
But the book is actually written on vellum, and it's a hand-woven book. So everything that's put on there is handmade.
Why don't you explain what vellum is?
Vellum is a byproduct of meat, like of animals with like hide. It's like a hide. They didn't want to get rid of anything. They used everything in the monastery. So when they killed and they ate, they would skin it. And I don't know if it was tanned necessarily. So I'm not sure if vellum's tanned.
They would tan it. They would dry it out, tan it.
Yeah.
They might not tan it. They definitely dried it. I mean, there's different ways to dry.
It's 165 pounds of vellum.
Now, well, I mean that part of that though, vellum is much heavier than regular paper.
Yeah, but
it's
the Bible and the New Testament, though.
I know,
and
but
like a whole bunch of
other stuff in there. So now, basically, the vellum thing. This brings it to an interesting thing that I remember because I've been drinking. Otherwise, I wouldn't have remembered this. And I don't know where I know this obscure little fact about this story from. The vellum itself, there's an argument that it could straight up be fake based on that. Now, people say the other thing around. They say, well, it couldn't be fake. It has to be from this time period because of the vellum. They date the vellum, and that's how they know they date the book, what age the book was in, when it was made.
Yeah,
that's how they're dating it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, someone could have compiled the note pages on the back of other books, taken that vellum out, and added it all together. Because there's no evidence to show that it's all from the same sphere, which it wouldn't be because there's so much paper.
Yeah,
so you'd have a really hard time proving that much.
That's a 3-foot book. I think it's like 3 feet roughly.
Tall.
It is. It's about 3 feet
3 tall, 2 wide, about 1 thick.
About almost 1 thick, and 165 pounds worth of vellum. Yeah, and then you got to consider
what it took. Literally, if you hollowed it out, you could stick Justin Bieber in it.
Yeah,
it would weigh the same.
And if you wanted to, you could lock it up and throw it in the ocean. But whatever.
I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
It would be more like the devil's.
Be cool. Be cool.
No,
we didn't tell you to do
that. we do. In no way do we suggest that you cut open an ancient manuscript, shove Justin Bieber inside, and throw it in the ocean. We do not condone that.
No,
if you do that, this is our saying no. Now, if you do that, I'm not saying we'd laugh because that might provoke you to go and actually consider it. We don't want to have that on our heart.
Yeah, we were going to do Evil Tones, and Justin Bieber's autobiography was the scariest one, so we just decided to cut it out.
Yeah, we didn't do that because that was what Paco was supposed to be talking about today. We didn't want to terrify you. Maybe that's why he's not here. Maybe reading the autobiography of Justin Bieber caused him to...
Oh my God, do you think his eyes burned out?
Maybe he got sucked into the book.
Ah, crap.
He said Klaatu Viraj.
Anyway,
I'm sure it's more like Selena Gomez.
The book isn't written with there's different types of ink. I don't know what all the types of ink are, but this particular book is written with the same how they tell is the guy actually had the same penmanship all the way through. His G's, his S's. There are slight differences in how everybody does something.
There are variations.
There's all variations, but everything was this one guy's writing. That's what their decision was. And on top of that, the ink was the same style. I guess you'd crush up like nests of bugs and stuff like that to create ink out of their blood or out of the leftovers.
Yeah, bugs and berries and stuff mixed all together.
No, just bugs.
I thought they would also add berries in it for dye.
They didn't say anything about berries
because they might colors. So
that might be it.
For like some of it wasn't all. Some of it had like paint stuff, ink paint. Because
so if you see an ancient tome, don't lick it because it might be bugs.
And you could get really high. Poison dart frogs. I wonder if you can make ink out of poison dart frogs.
No. Anywho,
wasn't it in that book Holes where like the chick that was the warden over the kid concentration camp would get rattlesnake venom into her nail polish?
Yeah.
So when it was wet, she could scratch you and poison you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
I didn't think I made that up.
So Anyway, so from there on, the book was in the Black Monastery, and then it was, I think, gifted to another monastery. And there was a king named Rudolph who came to power, or he was a prince, and he was waiting for a. He was actually kind of famous because he was one of the people who subscribed to Nostradamus. And this is the same time. This is the Dark Ages. This is the time of Nostradamus. Nostradamus actually wrote for him a prophecy that he would become the king eventually, I guess. And so when he became the king, he knew of this tome. He knew of it, and he wanted it more than anything. And so he actually wound up giving things to the monastery.
I'm still listening.
Oh my gosh, Billy, that's terrifying. Anyway, so he put together this these gifts that he would send to the monastery, and eventually they got the gist, I guess, and they gave him the book. And after getting the book, he became reclusive. He was actually known when he was younger to be very shut in. He wasn't very, he wasn't a boisterous kid, if you will. He didn't go out talking to people. Yeah, he was depressive.
Did he by chance have antlers and a red shiny nose?
How'd you know? Anyway, so the reindeer. Anyway,
what is a reindeer doing with the devil's Bible? That is like not a good Christmas story. I mean,
the best Christmas ever.
That said, we're gonna do an episode about Krampus for Christmas special. I think
we're gonna have to do Krampus too. We'll have to do the Krampus stories. Anyway, so
no, we'll do it
Rudolph. Shortly after, he had bouts of like depression, things like that. He didn't like to be around people. Well, he became very reclusive once he got the book. He spent his time with it. Now, inside this book, there's one detail I don't think I mentioned, is that there is a portrait of the devil, and it is rare. And I think there's only one of its kind because this particular devil is actually drawn in a way that's different. I mean, it's a huge picture of the devil. It's an entire page given to it.
It almost looks like something you'd see a kid draw in their psychology.
It's a mixture of Pan.
Yeah, it's definitely the cloven-hooved kind of.
It's Pan.
It's that strange archetype for sure, but it's also, like I said, it looks like a kid drew it almost. Like a really messed up kid.
Well, that's because everybody knows that goats are friggin' evil. That's why this happened, is because that's why goats came about like that. It's because everybody knows goats are freaking evil.
This is a guy who must not like Chev. That's all I can say.
I don't like goats.
What did a goat ever do to you?
Ram me in the ass with its horns, and it was uncomfortable.
Continue with the story. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot horn.
Yeah.
This feels like the old show.
Shut up.
Podcasting is what this feels like right now.
Anyways, yes, it does. Anyway, so you maybe lose my train of thought. Okay, so Rudolph, right. So Rudolph becomes reclusive, and he eventually stops paying attention to his
Sorry, couldn't help it. His people?
Yes, he stopped paying attention to his kingdom, his people, and stuff started falling into disrepair. And eventually, his own family forced him to abdicate.
So the gist of it is, every time someone gets that book, everything goes to crap.
Something bad happens around it or after it. But the best part is, shortly after Rudolph was removed, a little while later, I don't know if it was like 100 years or like even like, I don't even know if it was 100 years. It could have been like 10 years, honestly, because the thing I read was really crappy with dates, and that's kind of sad because I'm crappy with dates. So, anywho, the Swedes invade. Now, the Swedish, they don't quite know necessarily what they have, and they sack the city, they take the book, and they take it to Sweden, where on the trip, I guess they had issues, but at the same time, most people didn't know what it was. There was whisperings that they had an evil Bible, essentially, something evil.
Some evil text.
And it wasn't good. And then these geniuses had the bright idea of saying, you know what? Let's give it to our ruler, our king. That was a good idea.
King Björgen?
Nope. King.
I was hoping you have a name for him because I'm just going to make stuff up because I don't know.
Christina.
King Christina.
Mm-hmm. King Christina is rare in the fact that she was actually a princess who was born on a rare day where they had a theory in Sweden that if you were born on this day and you survived, that you would become very powerful and very strong. And so, since the king didn't have any sons, he said, screw it, and he raised her like a dude. And even though everybody knew she was female, I believe, if from what I was reading was correct, people knew she was a female, she ascended to the throne, and instead of getting sworn in as a queen, she decided to get sworn as the king. She said, screw this, I'm the king, because she took what her father wanted to heart. She decided she was going to be the king.
Hail to the king, baby.
And so she could say, hail to the king, baby.
This is going to be a very Bruce Campbell episode.
That's right.
Necronomicon reference, quotes, good times. You had me at Bruce Campbell.
You had me at Bruce Campbell. What the hell? Okay, so now for less than a decade, she had this book when she got it, and I believe she had already been sworn in for a while at that point. So you can theorize how bad this was when her captains gave it to her. Less than a decade into it, she kept this above her most prized possessions. Was this book? It was number one on all of her. Or when she sent lists of things, it was number one.
It was her bestseller list.
It was her bestseller list, and it was
for 10 years. It was on her bestseller list.
It was the Codex Gigas, which means giant book. In Latin, it just means giant book.
Word.
It's awesome.
We know that. I think everyone knows that.
I didn't know that till I saw this. So it was number one in her list, but less than a decade, she decides to basically give up on being the ruler or the king, and she joins a Catholic monastery. She goes to become a nun.
So this book is bringing people to the Lord through a lot of violence and aggression.
Now,
sadness.
Hold on. The weird thing is, even though she was going to become a nun and she was going to a place where Bibles they would probably love this book, that's the only thing she left behind.
You know what they say about nuns?
No.
None for me, none for you, none for nobody.
Oh my god. Anywho,
it's not the first time I've done that joke on the show. I don't think.
I'm worried for you. So they leave this book behind. Or she leaves this book behind even though it was a prized possession. After less than a decade, she decides to leave it behind. And what happens after 50 years is a fire breaks out in that area. The fire watchers were on shift. They have no idea where it started from. So a fire breaks out. And according to the myth or the story of this, the book is actually upstairs in the library. And someone manages to shuffle this damn book across the room to a window and lift a 165-pound book and throw it out the damn window.
After it had been damaged in the fire.
No. It wasn't damaged in the fire.
I thought there was fire damage to the book.
No fire damage.
I thought there was like something about, they thought that maybe the book actually could have caused the fire because of the oils in the paper they used. It's not really paper.
That's not what I didn't read that unless you read it. Go ahead.
No, that's all. I thought that's what had happened. I don't really know.
Anyway.
So a fire breaks out. Someone manages to magically shuffle this heavy ass book and toss it out a window. Okay, and it survived.
And actually, you're wrong on that, Bridget. That's not the case. She was still the queen. She just took the title of king. That's all it was.
Are you suggesting she didn't dress like a man?
No. She wore dresses, but she carried around a sword. She dressed feminine, but she carried swords. And she wore
dresses then too.
She was just really fucking good at sword play and stuff like that.
Stop! That's it right there. We're rated R now, you idiot.
Dang it! Why'd you let me cuss? He let me cuss, everybody.
You're killing me.
You're killing me, Smalls.
We can't do that anymore.
Okay.
We need that big money.
So a flippin' fire almost took the book out, maybe, but it didn't have damage as far as I know. It might have.
I seem to recall that there being some kind of smoke damage or fire damage to some of the pages, but
there was a thought because there's actually shadows on the page, so that's roughly where it ends until it winds up being in where it is now in Sweden in a museum.
Okay.
So what happened was, in this book is that giant devil. Now, the reason this is rare is because this is the first time they've ever seen a devil or a form of the devil in whole, that size, in whole. Usually get like faces, shadows, things like that of the devil.
So I think it's like one of the oldest images, the first images of a full drawing of.
What did I just do to myself?
Devil. I don't really know what that was.
Put a spark in my eye, I think. Oh, that sucks.
Are you all right there?
Yeah.
That's what you get for choosing this topic. Now pain is going to befall you.
Yep.
The whole thing, man.
Nope, the hellfire can't burn it. So anyways, the book is there now, and this devil's relief is one of the first of its kind because it's so big. And then on top of that, there's another thing that they've never seen before, which is the devil's all by itself. It's locked in a cage in the page. It's in an actual box. It's in a cage, basically, by itself.
So,
which is the first time they've ever seen that.
Basically, don't let Zach Bagans get this book, because he will unleash the devil that's trapped inside of the book.
So, well, the thing about this is they've never seen an image of the devil in a cage. They've thought that no one had basically, from what it sounded like, was no one had the stroke to, no one had the huevos to draw the devil in a cage because they thought it'd be very bad luck upon them. And so that's why they didn't, because no one, and also the problem is that if you drew the devil back then, 800 years ago, and he was a Benedictine monk, and he drew the devil.
Yeah, you're not supposed to draw the devil.
And even if you draw a little tiny demon, they got kind of angry. He drew a full-size like 2-foot tall demon
in the middle
or
of
devil,
the Bible,
and next to it was an image of heaven on the other page.
Well, so the devil's in a cage in hell and Sheol, and then there's heaven afterwards. So I mean, it's pretty sensical.
Yeah.
But there's also a thought that the guy had some kind of mental condition too, right?
Well, you know exactly what was with him. Honestly, I don't know much about him. I think his name was Herman. I'm pretty sure. Because I laughed at it. I was
It sounds
wow,
like
that's
most
funny.
people don't know that much about it. And almost no one knows about it for real.
It's
or if it's really the guy they think it is that did it.
It's like all legends; they're not really known. But okay, so that's not necessarily where the information about the book at. It's like there's actually shadows. What you talk about was shadow damage. What you talk about damage is actually shadowing. And what's happening is there's only these shadows on these books where they're darker. The pages get darker as they go, and they all focus on the devil.
Really?
All of the shadows actually focus on the devil. It's the darkest page in the book. But the reason, and before people jump to conclusions, which, I mean, you can if you want.
Might as well jump.
Go for it. Jump.
Go ahead and jump.
It's cool. No one cares. Anyway.
We're just Van Halen on this?
Yes.
We are digressing rapidly. So,
basically the book, the reason for that, they think, if you read about it, is because the book was left open to that, because people were most interested in that image. Okay. Now, the thing that gets me, and I think is weird, is why was everybody drawn to the devil?
Because it was a weird thing to see. And did you look at the thing? We should have got a picture of it and put it up
on
the screen.
But these were all owned. This book was owned by religious people. Why the hell were these religious people leaving the book open to the devil or going to the page of the devil?
Okay, so
there's no words. It's just a picture.
Listen, you got to think, man. Most of the medicine and stuff back then, most of that kind of thing, and the scholarly stuff, was done by religious people, by the monks and stuff. They were the scholars of their time.
No, I get that. But
so they would have been studying this stuff.
No, I get that, but it's a picture. It's not, there's no words.
But it's such a strange thing. That's what people are going to be looking at because it's so out of place to them. That's what they're going to be interested in. I mean, that's just what I think psychology-wise.
The thing that I'm saying is psychology-wise is these are very devout people. Why did they spend so much time looking at the devil's picture? Why did they spend so much time on the devil's image? That's the question.
What do you mean?
The devil's image is the most darkened area, the one that's had the most sunlight, which means it's been displayed the most. That means that at that period of time, to darken like that, it had to have spent like 90% of its time open to that page.
Or the guy drew it, and he spent so much time drawing the heaven on the other side of the page.
It was all written in one night, dude. What are you talking about?
Dude, okay, first of all, where do you think the monk got the light from? He had a window. So he's doing most of his drawing in the daytime and his writing
for a single night.
So he has the daytime that's open to the devil. So day in and day out, he probably toiled over how to make the devil look. He probably, if you layered it out and looked at it with x-rays and stuff, you'd probably see multiple layers with different renditions of him trying to draw this devil. And then he probably spent even more time on the heaven one. It probably took him a couple weeks. So it's sunlight right there for a couple weeks. Say it's in the middle of the summer.
Because there would be darkening on the tops of the book too.
No, not necessarily.
Because he would be leaning over on a pedestal, so the book would actually be aiming up anyways.
Not necessarily.
So there'd be darkening on top.
Especially if the guy's got mental issues, he could have just had it flat.
Drawing with a crayon?
With a crown?
That's messed up.
As they say.
You're messed up.
What, dude? Are you saying they didn't have crayons back then?
They might have. I don't know.
I'm guessing it was probably.
What if this was their version of a crayon book, a coloring book, and some little
adult
kid wrote
coloring book? Oh my gosh!
It was
the devil's adult coloring book.
The devil's coloring book is what it's actually called now. So, anyways, the devil's coloring book.
You know, if this show catches on better, and we get some people that want to send us fan art, I want them to draw us a devil's adult coloring book.
Oh, and there actually is more. There's one more thing. This guy's an amateur. And
you said that.
There are 0 errors. There are no errors in this book.
Okay, so being an amateur, though, doesn't mean he's not meticulous because he's copying it word for word, letter for letter. So the old scribes, people will get on to things, well, the Bible has all these errors because they handwritten it. Well, the thing is, for a scribe especially, for them to write anything of the scrolls, and they're writing it on scrolls, like the old scriptures and whatnot, they would sit down. First, they'd bathe. They'd get cleansed. They'd clean their workspace. They'd fast. They'd pray, and they'd go and they'd copy it word by word, line by line, directly. And if they made any error at all, they'd scrap it completely, burn the document, cleanse themselves again, and have to start over from scratch. So
Oh,
they got pretty good at having the repetition of things and copying things down. Yeah, you spoiled because of the printing press, and now we got digital letters and stuff.
You know, that kind of makes sense, except for the fact that it's a shit ton of pages.
Well, no, but the monks didn't have to follow the same excruciating pain. They could just scrap a page and throw it.
Well, I mean, yeah, he probably could, because I mean, it's written on vellum too, so it's not like it's all he bound it himself. So you know, I mean, he could probably like, damn it.
Probably.
Could you imagine that frustration writing something like that? Just be like, okay, I have to restart this book now because of this one little error.
Page 937. What if stop with the? We're getting a cuss jar, and every time you say a cuss word, you're putting money in it.
I said flip.
I'm gonna smack you.
I said ducks. What? I said flipping ducks. You need to listen better.
Continue with your story.
I couldn't imagine that though. Just sitting there thinking, oh my god, I made a slight error here. 200 pages in, just sitting there with like this 100-something pound book, just smacking yourself in the forehead like, crud. What? I wonder if that's why it's the Devil's Bible. Because he didn't restart. They found out he did restart.
Another Monty Python reference. It's a 2-in-1 show. We were rocking this cast.
It would be amazing if they found out he didn't restart. That's why they call it the Devil's Bible. He was just sitting there like, nope.
They come in.
There's like a pile of pages.
How's it going? They're sifting through the garbage. Like,
you're supposed to.
What is all of this vellum? How many cows are going to die for you to make this stupid little book? Little, you say? You wait, sir. You just wait.
What if that's what happened to me? I can see it now. Your little book isn't going to be anything.
Dude, I'm saying, here's my theory. I think it's a prank. I think it's a freaking prank. I think some jokester sat down, him and his buddies, had one guy write it, and they're like, you know what, how do we screw with these people more?
In Sweden.
Let's put the devil in there.
Well, I've heard about Sweden. It's really boring.
To our viewers in Sweden, we do not share that sentiment.
It might be boring. I mean, here's boring all the time.
Now you're just trying to cover yourself?
No, there's nothing what is there actually to do in this world nowadays? Come on.
Video games.
There you go.
Paranormal talk shows.
Awesome. Paranormal talk shows are great. Don't start one, because we did, so don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that, because we don't need any more competition.
No more competition. Don't forget to share the page. Don't forget to share and like and follow all that stuff.
Yeah, we're going to keep
saying Please share, because
I need to change the scrolling marquee. I'm looking down. I don't know if you guys can see the scrolling marquee, but I forgot to change the color of it.
I got Nick's Electronics.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, good enough for government. We got a new camera, so it kind of threw everything off. I wasn't expecting the video quality to increase exponentially, and it did.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. Yeah. So anyways, so that, that's the story, roughly the story of the Devil's Bible. And I mean, it's an interesting story. I mean, honestly,
so what do you really think is up with the book? Like, what do you really feel is?
Like, I think a devout monk sat down and he wrote he wrote it out like he normally would, and I think what happened was someone else continued it. I think someone else got their hands on it.
Did the artwork?
And not necessarily the artwork. I think that like the spells, the medicine stuff, I think someone else did that. I think like maybe the picture of the devil, yeah, maybe heaven and hell, someone added those in later. I personally don't think he did all that. I think he wrote the New and Old Testament, which is what he would do first faith. And then I think someone else added everything else.
There would be artwork too. Back then, a lot of those handwritten Bibles would have artwork and nice scrolling on the side and borders and stuff. And be really fancy, and artistic. So
that's why they said he was an amateur.
Maybe he did do those, and then all the other stuff got added later. Maybe he never bound it together himself, and so someone found where he was. Maybe he died in the middle of making it, and it was just sitting there, and they were covered in bones, and it changed hands enough times. Or maybe somebody saw it. There was enough vellum left over, and they're like, hey, let's add some spells to it.
Or it could just been a student of his.
I don't think a guy like that has students.
I mean, people get all, by themselves, they eventually want to talk to someone. And so he might have found someone to talk to.
Dude, hermits don't want to talk to people. What are you talking about?
I misspoke when I said hermit. I just meant he was like very reclusive.
Well, no, hermits are kind of normal, I seem to remember there being a story of someone actually hiring a hermit for their hermitage they have in front of their place recently. Not even a joke. Like, they're actually like,
what's a hermitage?
Looking for a hermit. A hermitage? That's where the hermit lives. Kind of like a hobbit hole sometimes.
That's amazing. I would totally apply for that job.
Well, it's like that. There's like that island in Europe somewhere where it's like there's one house on it, but the only way to get there is helicopter, and there's no people. I'm like, dude, sign me up.
And it's actually haunted, isn't it? It's supposed to be like cursed or something.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do there?
Well, it's actually on a giant rock.
Exactly. It's on a big plateau rock.
Yeah.
It comes up.
It's almost impossible to get to nowadays unless you have a helicopter. I don't think you can get to it by boat. They had to rappel or something like that to get up there to make it or something like that.
You don't rappel upwards. You rappel downwards.
They had to climb.
Ascend.
They have to ascend. They had to ascend up rope. Or vellum strings.
Or vellum strings.
Anyway, so I actually think someone else did the rest of it. I think they're wrong when they say, I do, even though these are experts and stuff like that, I'm arrogant. So I'm going to say they were wrong in their assessment and that some of it isn't the same. Some of it is different. I think some of it was made by someone else. I don't think this person did the devil because if someone was that devout to write the Old New Testament, why would they be drawing the devil? Like, that wasn't something they did. That just wasn't something they did. It's strange such a devout, hold on, it's strange that such a devout religion and such a devout religious person in a horrible, and not horribly, but a very devout sect of that faith, a Benedictine who whipped himself for penitence, or for penance and other things, penitence, who whipped himself, would draw something that
meant something different than it does now.
Anyway, so why all of a sudden he would just start drawing the devil, which is something that he would be against?
Well, not if he's in a cage. So I like in chat, Billy says, I think someone told him no one could write a regular Bible and be well known anymore. And Herman said, challenge accepted. Or as I like to say, hold my beer, I got this.
Hold my beer.
I don't know why I'd give anyone my beer. I'm
hold my ale.
Without it. Hold my flagon of mead.
Hold this mead.
Hold this sacramental wine. I got this.
Hold the body of Christ. I'll be right back.
The blood.
Sorry, I thought it was body. I don't know anything about this.
Here's what I get about people that get mad about Christians. Who can hate someone who their God literally turns their blood into wine and gets you drunk? Jesus' first miracle.
You ever realize that?
Wine. How awesome is that?
You ever realize that?
I want to party with that guy.
That technically makes everyone cannibalistic. Because you're drinking the body of someone else. You're eating the body and drinking the blood of another human being.
Hey, it worked for
just
Metheny.
A thought.
It worked for Metheny.
Oh my God, you're right. It did. What if Jesus had
his own... Metheny was just a really devout Christian, and that was his way?
What if he's ancient? What if he was back in the day, and he was chopping people up?
Metheny?
Yep. And Jesus rose again in a hamburger form. That was messed up. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm gonna have to whip myself now.
The body of Christ is usually an unleavened wafer, so it doesn't technically rise.
Oh. I'm a horrible human
being. Oh man. Good thing I'm not Catholic anymore.
Wait, I'm not Catholic. Never mind, don't forgive me. I don't care.
We're not gonna have anybody watching this show anymore because of this. We pissed off so many Catholics right now.
I have no issue with Catholicism.
I already know that the Pentecostals aren't going to watch this and the Baptists, but I thought the Catholics would stick around. Good job, Jack. Good job.
I actually have no issue with any religion whatsoever, to be honest.
We're not going to get into that.
I don't. I don't mind people.
No, we're not talking about that.
Who worship Zeus?
You know what? Who wouldn't want to worship a guy who can chuck lightning bolts at you?
That's the point. I mean, he can shoot lightning.
How can you dislike that idea?
He could shoot lightning bolts for Zeus' sake.
Of course, when you think about how he bore the other gods, it's kind of icky.
Yeah, that's weird. You ever think about the fact that in the Nordic religion, literally Odin is everything?
I don't know about
He's sleeping with himself every other day. Because he created humanity from himself.
So
he created the gods from himself.
Literally, Odin is a serial masturbator.
Yes. He's perfected the art. And the tree of life,
if that were true, I'd be in Valhalla already.
I can't remember what the tree is. I can't remember what the name of the tree is, but that's him too. The great squirrel's him, and the D-Dog is him too.
That's the other thing. The great squirrel. Norway, get your crap together.
I'm just thanking all the Catholics. You just thanking all the Norwegians. Congratulations.
They don't even believe in that stuff anymore, most of them. I think the only ones that really buy into that stuff anymore are the white supremacists over there.
Mad in front of his from a young year.
How about you say it's in chat, then read it.
It's in chat, everyone, because you can't read yourselves. Imagine a friend of his from his younger years. I remember that guy. He was always talking about writing some big book. Who knew he meant that big?
Maybe I should have read that out loud.
Yes.
We are equal opportunity offenders, though.
Yeah. We're going to make everyone mad eventually.
We've done a pretty good job. If you guys go back and watch the rest of
Please
our shows,
don't go back.
No, you should, because YouTube, we need as many views as we can get. In fact, I challenge you to binge watch our entire channel. That would be the bomb diggity-o. It's only going to take you 37, 30, not 40 hours.
It's one of my favorite quotes from Grand Theft Auto, I think.
Are we going to quote the great gospel of Grand Theft Auto right
Yes,
now?
we're going to quote Grand Theft Auto. I hate everyone equally, indifferent of race, religion, or sex.
I had a teacher in high school that used to say he hated everybody equally. And I never understood quite what he meant until I became older, and then I totally get it.
I think we should do the Necronomicon on some episode, because this is a good one, honestly. I don't think we need to continue on with Necronomicon today, because no one really cares about it that much. The Evil Dead was kind of a crappy movie. So. I knew that'd be your response.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah, what the heck?
How are you going to trash talk the Evil Dead? Now we're really going to lose all our viewers. Everyone loves the Evil Dead. What is wrong with you?
Actually, I liked the first one. I wasn't a big fan of the second one. I thought it was okay. Because I wasn't a huge fan of Army of Darkness, though. I liked the first one.
How can you not? If it wasn't for Army of Darkness, we never would have had Duke Nukem.
The remake was totally the best, though. The most recent remake was way better than Bruce Campbell's. I just tried to make him bad.
No, you're just making yourself look like a buffoon.
I was wondering if I
Who says buffoon anymore?
I have no idea.
Bringing it back. Oh man. Yeah. So, what did we decide with this?
What?
So what did we decide with this today?
The book
all together for this whole show. Where do you think we landed on this?
No freaking clue. To be honest, we weren't alive back then. We have no idea if that story was true. The only thing we have is tales from the past, is people telling this tale about how it got made in the first place. For all we know, it literally could have been compiled by 20 different monks, all with the same style of writing, from the same master.
I don't know. I think those forensic handwriting analysis guys are pretty good, though, usually, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, I know everybody has their own unique, different way of writing things, but at the same time, New York, yes, unique New York. The thing is that if you're trained by the same master, he's going to be very stringent or strict on how he does things. And he might make them, or force their hand by making them write everything in a certain way.
I'm not pleased with this cigar. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did.
It's horribly terrible. That's all I can say right now.
Well, the flavor was good until it got to about here. Now my mouth's
Bridget.
numb. It tastes like ammonia.
I mean, yeah, this is not a great cigar.
No,
this is a
0 out of 0 will not rebuy.
Yep.
Actually, I would probably give it a 3 out of 6 stars. Just based on how long it lasted.
2 out of 5.
That's almost exactly the same as what I said.
I know. That's why I said it.
I mean, it is.
I just wanted to be better and have a 5-star system.
You're slightly lower than.
So I honestly don't know about this book. I mean, I think you should always leave your mind open.
I think it's fake.
If you think it's real,
fake, totally fake. I think it's a total forgery. I think someone completely made it up.
I think it could be real.
I don't think it even exists. I don't think there's actually a copy of it. I think someone took a big block of wood.
They just studied the book. They show it.
I think they're faking it.
They actually took it for the first time in a long time. They took it to its homeland.
They made a fake book. It's a conspiracy. It's an alien conspiracy.
Look, Alex, not everything is conspiracy.
Do not ever equate me with that man.
You equated me with him like 6 times.
So did you hear recently about what the
it was aliens.
NASA, but, well, no, really, like the 14 radio signal bursts that came in from
There were 14?
18 light years away or something. That's 100 million. Supposedly these bursts got sent out 280,000 years ago or something like that. I don't know why I'm pointing. I don't know. There's nothing. I don't know what directions. It's from another galaxy somewhere.
From this direction.
From another galaxy altogether. They're just random 14 weird radio bursts.
Just randomly?
Well, in sequence.
The thing that there's people
they don't know exactly where it came from, but it all seems to be originating from the same source.
There's a lot of people who think that those sounds are just
Well, no, these are different than what they've gotten before. This just happened this week or last week. It's very strange. Yeah, it was in the news. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened this week. I should have wrote it all down. Maybe we could talk about it like it was news.
Yeah, maybe. Do we do news?
We should start.
I thought we just messed around, got on the camera, and did stuff. Talked. And hoped people didn't think we were stupid.
No, people know we're stupid.
Ah, well, failed there.
I mean, if they don't think we're stupid, I don't know what to tell them.
Stockholm, that's where it's at. It's in Stockholm. He was right. Because I just remembered she was actually in Stockholm. Christina, who had the Bible originally was England. She was the king queen of Stockholm, Sweden. That's where her castle is or whatever.
Okay. She was the Kevin James of Stockholm.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
King of Queens.
Okay. Yep. Sure.
The Leah Remini of Stockholm.
Totally. We're just running down now.
Yeah, no, we're out of it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Join us next week where we don't know what we're talking about yet. We're probably going to end up being live here. I don't know. We might have to do the Facebook thing again because I don't think that.
Unfortunately, I don't think we have enough reach at the moment to move to YouTube.
But I mean, we might have to. It might not be optional at this point.
Yeah, that.
But hey, we're going to put it on our Twitch channel. If you haven't followed us there, don't forget to check out our Twitch channel. Please like, follow, subscribe, turn on your notifications on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. Bribe them to watch the show. Bend their hands. That kind of thing. Hurt them. If they don't really hurt them. We don't want you to do that much. And if you guys have topics for shows, if you have any kind of cool stories you want to share and want us to read on the show, just email us at vanishinggates@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at Vanishing Gates. Yes, there's 2 G's. 2 words. 1 word, 2 G's. Will sound like you're going to say something.
Nope, I had nothing. I know you're waiting for me to say something. I got nothing.
Anyway, guys, when you guys get done here, please do us a solid. Get on the Facebook page and share this from the Facebook all over the place. Tell people to watch it. Tell them you love us. Visit our sponsors. Give them a hi from us.
Yep. Hi, guys.
And no idea where Paco is. As always,
he was never here in the first place.
I know.
That's a Mandela effect thing.
Weird.
Oh my God! You know what I just realized?
Close to that.
There was actually a Mandela effect situation. I just remembered that. I've never heard anyone talk about the ABCs.
What?
Okay, so you know when you get to the end, people say NZ or NY. People will say like NY. They think there's an N in there.
That's not the Mandela effect.
Yes, it is.
That's like people think that elemental P is 1 letter.
It is 1 letter.
How abcadab? I can't remember the Big Bird song. And if you guys want to see Jack Trouble Shuffle, make sure you send us comments. Tell us what you think about the show in the comments below. And we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or PDT, I guess is what it is now. That's what it shows on the YouTubes. So
PDT.
That sounds almost like you're going to do something terrible. Pretty damned terrible.
No, now you're doing it. I guess we're just out the window. Maybe we should make a bunch more references to Evil Dead. Even though we didn't do the Necronomicon.
All right, guys. As always, for Paco, I'm your host, Jay, and with me is...
What am I today?
Jack.
Amazing?
Negative Ghost Rider.
Paco's great tonight. He's the best I've ever seen.
In chat, Paco was great tonight. I like that. It's good. I want to make sure he sees that.
I'm the 20th Doctor. I think I'm going to keep that title. The 20th Doctor.
You don't get to be the 20th Doctor.
20th Doctor Who.
You're more like the 19th Doctor.
That's rude.
He's prettier than you, though.
No, that's not true.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.